What's going on, Animal Crew? It's been a while since you've seen me in this channel, so I apologize about that, but I'm happy to be back. So today I'm gonna take you through a core routine, and we're gonna talk a little bit more in depth about what the core is, what's the best way to develop it, and what's the difference between the core in terms of its function and its action. All right, so before we get into it, let's start with the anatomy of the core and what are the two layers that form the core musculature. Now, on the superficial level, you're gonna have your rectus abdominis, your internal and external abdominal oblique. Your rectus is the muscle that is most prominent in bodybuilders that you can see visibly with your eyes. In people that are really shredded, you know, you see the 6, the 8, the 12 pack, the 15 pack in my case. And then you have the internal and external abdominal obliques, which are the ones that are on the sides. Now, internally, there are more muscles that contribute to the stability of your core and of your spine as well. So you have your transverse abdominis, your multifidus, then at the top you have your diaphragm that not a lot of people think to include in the core musculature group, and then you have your pelvic floor muscles. So the way I like to think about it is kind of like an abdominal canister in which you have the muscles in the front that we discussed. At the bottom, you have your pelvic floor muscles. On the back, you have your multifidus. And at the top, you have your diaphragm. And in order to have a really strong core, it's important that we work on all of those areas because our bodies tend to take the path of least resistance, and whatever area is the weakest is gonna be the one that essentially fails. So you wanna make sure that you build a well-rounded core and that you don't spend too much time doing too much of one exercise and neglecting the rest. Now that we've talked about the anatomy, now let's talk about how these muscles work in action and in function. Now, in terms of action, these muscles go from your sternum all the way attached on your pubic symphysis, at least, or the rectus abdominis, for example. That muscle is in charge of lumbar flexion, so it's gonna bring your torso, your upper body down towards your lower body. So that's in terms of action. In terms of action, muscles usually pull the origin towards the insertion. That's what we're gonna see. Now, in terms of the action and function of the core, there's gonna be a big difference. And this is gonna be the most important part because this is what's gonna teach you how to train them. So in terms of action, our core is in charge of flexing or bending forward, laterally flexing, and rotating. Those are the planes of motion and the actions that the core is technically in charge of. But in terms of function, that's not what we want our core doing. For example, when you get under a bar to do a heavy squat, you're not looking for your core to flex. You're looking for your core to anti-flex or to extend and to stabilize under that load. You're not looking to have side-to-side movement or rotation on a deadlift. It's quite the opposite of what you want to do. And so in terms of function, we're gonna have to select those exercises specifically for the exercise or activity that we want to do. Now, in terms of getting visible abs, that's a completely different story. If you want to get visible abs, the first thing, most important thing, is getting your body fat percentage to drop so that you can actually expose the muscle that's underneath your skin. And secondly, you want to hypertrophy the muscles in the core, specifically the rectus abdominis. So you will see, or it would be beneficial to do crunches and sit-ups and GHD sit-ups and all of those exercises in terms of hypertrophy. So that's the distinction that I want to make. The goal is going to determine your exercise selection. And so for every exercise that you do at the gym, you want to know exactly why you're doing it, for what purpose, and if the exercise matches your ultimate goal. So if your goal is to squat or deadlift really, really heavy, you're gonna have to add certain exercise into your repertoire that will allow you to do so in a safe way. Before we go on, there's a huge misconception, especially among people that like lifting heavy, like powerlifters, weightlifters, and strongmen, that the only core exercises that you need to be doing are the squat and the deadlift, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Although those exercises do require a high level of core activation, you can certainly be supplementing and accessorizing and adding in more core exercises just to keep building the resilience and robustness of your core, which is where everything starts. It's the most important part of your body. So it doesn't hurt to add a little bit more accessories into your existing program. All right, now I'm gonna take you through my favorite core exercises. The first one that we're gonna do is an ab wheel. I think that's the name. It's been a long day, you guys. For that, you will need something to protect your busted knees that most likely you all have, and an ab wheel. This is probably like $6 on Amazon. And the great part is that you can pretty much do this anywhere. Now, this movement requires some practice, and some of you, if you haven't done it, you might struggle a little bit at the beginning. I'm gonna give you some key points. Now, the first thing you wanna do is you wanna start with your pelvis right on top of your knees, and you wanna start in a posterior pelvic tilt. Mistake a lot of people make is they allow their pelvis to, or their lower backs to drop, and then they end up in an anterior pelvic tilt, and that's not what we want, because like, remember how we said, we're trying to train our muscle function, we're trying to train our core to stabilize our pelvis and our lower back, and so we wanna be in a nice neutral position. So from there, now that you're in a slight posterior tilt or a neutral position, you're gonna start letting the ab wheel go in front of you. Ideally, you'll go all the way down and then come back forward. I like to give it a little round at the top as well to so I can keep that same tension. Got it? And then when you get really good, you can try to do it without an ab wheel and starting from the top. I clearly can't do it yet, but if you can do it, good for you. Next one we're gonna do. We're gonna do a straight leg. What do you even call it? GHC setup, yeah. A straight leg GHC setup. So you wanna keep your legs always extended, okay? You're gonna be in this slightly rounded position, and you're gonna go only till you're parallel with your feet. And from there, you can hold it a few seconds. 1, 2, 3, and come back up. Keep your knees extended. Draw your belly button in. 1, 2, 3. Back up. 1, 2, 3. Back up. If you want to make it more difficult for yourself, you can always grab a weighted plate or a dumbbell or a kettlebell and hold it close to you or even behind you. That'll make it even harder. The farther away that you put that weight, the farther away from you that you put that weight, the more difficult the exercise will become. Last one that I'm going to show you guys. Yeah. I don't think I can talk through this one. I'm going to try. So you're going to do, grab a heavy kettlebell, put it in the front rack position. I want you to put it in front of you, not behind you. This is cheating. When you do it like this is defeating the whole purpose. You want to put it in front so that you have to push against it and engage your core into the movement. Right here, I'm just relying on the passive stability from my shoulder to hold the kettlebell up. See how easy this is for me? But when I put it in front, it's a lot harder. Yeah. It's a great way to functionally train your obliques and everything in the front of your body. So this is a good alternative to the famous bodybuilding side bend or the typical YMCA 87-year-old that's like dun 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 dun. You know, you don't want to be that person. This is you. This is me telling you to level up. All right, that was all for today. I appreciate all of you guys for watching and tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to be on the lookout for those questions and answer as many of them as possible. You can find me at Stefi Cohen on Instagram or Stefi Cohen on YouTube. If you have any more questions or want to check any more of my content out, feel free. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next animal video.